Alright, so just to continue on, I briefly mentioned how Zappa may care about movement just because he simply enjoys it, and I didn't really go into that because that's the second part, so I want to start off with that. I believe Zappa really enjoyed movement, but more especially in his conducting style. Frank Zappa, as we know, has a very distinct conducting style, a very different style than anything I personally have ever seen. But one thing that I really like, and I'll show it in this video, is how he kind of sells his own conducting style. I'll go ahead and show that right here.
Low note on your instrument, just a sort of a bump cutoff, like an exclamation point. Now here is just the opposite of that. The highest possible note on your instrument.
So just to stop really quick and talk about that, obviously he's using the middle finger here. I feel like part of it is that he wanted to attract his audience members. I know the host is laughing, the band is having a good time, and all the audience members are laughing as well. And as you can see in the video, it's kind of blurry, but you can tell that Zappa himself is also smiling. So I feel like he really knows what he's doing. He knows that he's on TV. He knows that he can reach other people on TV, and so I feel like he purposefully used that one for the last one to sort of draw the audience in towards Zappa himself. So I'll keep playing this video.
Okay, we'll start with the peak. We're going to.
And so just to end it on that, one thing important to note here is that he incorporated the audience members in his own conducting style. And that's something certainly very unique of Zappa, and I feel like that's something that he really wanted. In the next video it'll show Frank Zappa conducting his own band. But one thing that I felt like he really did on TV here is that he really wanted people to enjoy everything that he was doing, so he did simple hand motions that people could get it. He told the audience to clap whenever he pointed at them. That would be a pretty obvious signal, and the whole middle finger thing just makes people laugh. And so I feel like one reason of this is marketing, but as you can tell during the whole thing, I felt like Zappa himself was having a great time. But I think more importantly, the audience and the host was having a great time, so that certainly helps as well. See here. Just continuing on with his conducting style, and just to show how important his hand signals were, I'm going to go ahead and play this part of the same video. I believe it's up here. So just to talk about it before it loads, going back to the video before, it just shows how important the hand signals are. He's doing all these different things, and I personally think the audience wasn't expecting it. I feel like the audience was expecting something a little more simpler, but I feel like it really opens the audience members especially into the world of Frank Zappa and how he wants to portray his own music as, because he's doing these weird hand signals, but he's also putting different sounds to it. And I feel like these different sounds can really attract different people to his music, and I feel like that was a very important part of the TV interview itself, is attracting the audience members to him, especially since we know that he was very conscious about what media he was portraying himself in. So just to play this video, I can talk about it afterwards.
5 fingers, and that meant the tempo. So he just had to, and we knew what it was, so we just started playing like that, or 7/11, whatever it happened to be.
Sometimes it would be me playing 5/8, and then I would keep playing the 5/8. He'd do this to Artie. Art would be playing in 7/8. Bunk 2 3 1 2 3. Bunk would be playing in 3/4 time. Roy would be playing in 4/4 time, all at the same time.
Keep up.
And so that video itself just shows how important the hand signals are. And I think it's important to note that these hand signals are vessels for Zappa to keep the performances natural. And I feel that way because of what he just explained here. One person's playing 5/8, one person is playing 4/4, one person is playing 7/8. There's a lot of control when it comes to it, but also he has the power to sort of change that tempo, change that key signature if he really wants to. And so I feel like that's very important, especially if he wants to conduct in different times. That's a great way to do it. But I feel like he does this because he really wants to keep the live performances different from each other, and that naturally happens whenever he conducts in this certain way. He keeps the performances different from each other because you can't have the same performance whenever you are conducting in that way. So I just feel like that's very important to note here, is that I feel like Zappa really wanted the control of his music, and the way he did it is with conducting, and that's important to what we're talking about here in the presentation. But just to go back to this video again,
The common one was
just to look at Frank Zappa conducting again.
That, so it's like a wave.
Look, you hold this and the force field around it will flow into you.
And so to stop here really quick, you can tell that Zappa's having a good time just because of the big smile on his face. But it's important to note that he's doing a lot of moving right now. He's moving his arms, he's moving his entire body, and it's especially his arms. But he is moving his entire body, and this gives a lot of freedom in terms of his music. And this what makes the live performances so unique, is that he's able to change all these little things that might make it sound different, but in a very meaningful way. But I'll go ahead and play some more of this.
Them and their stupid big mono dicks, you know, they just want to, they made this son of a...
What I think is really cool about this is that he is controlling most, if not all, of this music with his conducting. I couldn't imagine if Frank Zappa went through some sort of shoulder injury where he couldn't move his arms. I feel like that would very much so affect how live performances are done. There's not as much freedom in the live performances without his specific conducting style, especially in this video, and especially in the recording in the previous video. But it just shows how much freedom Zappa has whenever he's doing his conducting, how much the live performances really differ from each other, because he is doing all these different things, and if he was hindered in any way, then those live performances would have been drastically changed for sure. But just to move on to the results, with his conducting, it is very important to his music, as seen in the videos before. And what I feel like it does, it creates a very free and natural vehicle for his music. And it really allows him to control certain aspects of his music that he wants to be a little bit more loose, I guess. So if he wanted to change the tempo in that way, then he can move that hand in that sort of that U shape. If you wanted a high pitch, you could have done the middle finger, doing all that stuff. But the thing with visuals as well is that he really wanted to take advantage of new technology. The whole hologram tour with his entrepreneurial style, you can certainly see that, especially with the hologram tour. And it really shows just how much he liked having a visual part of his music, especially with conducting as well. But when it comes to control of dancing and choreography, at least, he doesn't have a lot of control when it comes to other dancers or other choreographers, as mentioned in his own quote from an interview back in 1992, which was in the first part of this video. But that's very surprising to me, because I feel like Zappa is somebody who really wants to control all of his music, all aspects of his music, including the visual aspect of it. So it's just very interesting to see how little control he has when it comes to that, or how little control he may seem to have when it comes to that. So my conclusion is that Zappa used movements for marketing and for his own enjoyment, but especially with his conducting. Especially with the conducting, he really enjoyed the conducting, I feel like. Zappa intended to use conducting for musical freedom, certainly, and that Zappa intended to use dancing and choreography for both audience retention and audience captivation. Well, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you all learned something, and have a great day.